What's good? What's good? What's good, everybody? How are y'all doing today? How are y'all doing this fine day? It has been a interesting day. It's been an interesting year, really, if I'm gonna just be honest. But I am just grateful to be alive today. I thank y'all. I praise y'all for the laugh in my body, giving me strength. So on today, we y'all kind of been putting something in my spirit that I've been mulling over. It's kind of like a illustration. I hate to say it like that because it sounds like them religious preachers. I'm going to be given an illustration today, and they got the stage all decorated up with foolishness and nonsense, and they just be out here yapping. But we're not going to be yapping today. We going to bring straight word because this relates to spirit, what we dub spiritual warfare. I call it the laws of heaven and earth because that's what it is. These are laws that are set up in the earth. These aren't we when we were taught how all the things of what religion calls spiritual warfare, a lot of it was based on rebellion and based on witchcraft, really. That's why you got a lot of folks like, you come into a church and they and all the screaming and it sounds like a little witchcraft ritual, man. You walking down like, yeah, you got somebody rolling on the floor, getting quote unquote deliverance for the fifth time this month. It's been 5 Sundays, and she come up there and be shaking out of her wig and stuff like that. All the ladies dropping the biggest purple cloth on her because she rolling around on the ground from all the nonsense she done got into for the past week. You got the one little semi-flamboyant dude in the corner yelling out loud, doing his little chicken language shout, oh, all flamboyant and just all over the place and spinning around. And you got the one lady on standby with the rag next to him just clapping the one usher. It's just a madhouse of foolishness that you be seeing going around, but that was catching the spirit. And that this was catching the spirit, as we used to call it. But when you really think about it in retrospect, it was just nothing but some mess, especially when it came time to cast out demons. There was something that my mom used to always say. She was like, you don't got to be doing all that hooping and huffing and hollering and happening and stuff when it comes to casting out the demons. She's like, look at what the Messiah did. When he did it, did he do all that? He just gave a command and boom, that's where they went. And then, you see them in the churches, they go and they glaze you up with all the oil that they can get. They just get all that Crisco and just slap it on you. You come out there looking like, went head first in a fry vat at McDonald's. Then they got their hand all on your head, tipping your head back and speaking all them goofy prayers all over you and doing all this stuff. And then you go into the parking lot, and then the one little semi-witchcrafty chick that thinks she a prophet want to pull you to the side and give you some old weird divination like prophecy, or that the Lord has told me, that just the Spirit of God has told me that you are you are everything that you put your hands to shall be blessed, saith the Lord. All that goofy nonsense, generic behind prophecy, bro. Look, as a dude that was called to be a prophet, I can tell you right now that ain't what prophecy is. Prophecy is not that at all. It ain't none of that. It's the first primary thing of prophecy is just living right and knowing how to follow the will and the word of God. That's the first thing to be a prophet. So you're out here talking about prophecy this, prophecy that, but you still don't know how to control your mind and you control your tongue and all that kind of stuff. There's layers to this thing, man. Especially when you start talking about trying to do spiritual warfare. It's like, bro, that ain't how this thing works. That's what we're gonna talk about today is authority. We seem to think that just because we believe in the Messiah and we're followers of the way, that we just get de facto authority. And it's like, nah, bro, that's not how it works. You can't just go around and just be doing stuff. Folks just be running up in. I'm just gonna run up in this hospital, and God told me to just run up in here, and I'm gonna be praying for people that they can grow legs back and they can do this. What is your purpose? Why do you want that? That's the question I'm going to propose right now for those that are here. Why? Be honest. And this is where you gotta really be honest with yourself. Most I said, if your heart be darkness, how great is your darkness? So you have to be 1000% honest with yourself and tell yourself the truth. If it's your pride, then hey, it's your pride. It is what it is. That's not a bad thing. We all got pride. But why? Why do you want to do these things? What is your purpose for doing miracles? What is your purpose? What is your desire? Whenever it come to power, especially, as Hebrews, we get a little thirsty. We be like, yeah, come to having some power. That's why you got all these jokers out here charging their crystals by the moonlight on their little Sailor Scout type nonsense. You got these dudes out here doing the hoodoo and killing chickens and doing all this other crazy stuff and tossing bones and doing divination and all this kind of crap, because jokers want power, but they don't want to submit to authority. And that's not how this thing works. And I'm going to show you with the word. This ain't going to be just red yapping and red just yelling, because this is the kind of thing that you can't just yap about. You have to show it in the word, when it comes to this, because that's the problem. A lot of this stuff in spiritual warfare, how often have they came and showed you scriptures? When they showed you scriptures and explained in the scriptures, besides giving you some nebulous thing and then giving you some vague, crazy translation of it and, spookifying it and making it into all kinds of goofy, weird, pseudo nonsense. That's the state that the religious church finds itself in. And that's why most people leave that mess, because it's Ichabod. The glory has departed. It ain't what it is. So first, we're going to go over this word authority. The word authority, it means the power to influence or command thought, opinion, or behavior. Let me zoom this in for y'all a little bit so you can better see it. Freedom granted by one in authority. Right. This is the key definition that we want to hone in on right here. These parts of the definitions is where the juice is right here. Well, freedom granted by one in authority. All right. A person in command, like specifically like a government, Yahushua HaMashiach and Yah are the government of his kingdom. That's where it is. They are the final say so. Yah is the final say so. Yahusha does everything that he sees Yah do. So again, they're one and the same. If you don't believe that, then I'm sorry. and if you're one of those people that be like, oh, the New Testament is written by blah, 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 you're going to have a bad time today, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it over the full Bible. I don't believe in separating it in testaments. There's no New Testament. It's all one specific book that was all writing for the same thing. There's no New Testament that they would have you to believe, so that way you can have your replacement theology to all of a sudden make a whole group of random people be sons of a person. That don't even work in biology, but we can just magically have spiritual Israel where everybody, oh, you want to be a son of Abraham? You want to be a daughter of Abraham? Well, come on down to the church, give $5 and get your Israelite pass, and you become an Israel. No, that ain't how none of that work. How none of that work. There's laws set up, and this is why the religious love to be lawless, because laws don't allow you to move and bend. The way they do their laws, they do it that way, but y'all's laws are not that way. They don't move and bend depending upon how you feel. It don't matter how you feel. The law is a law. It is what it is. To be a governmental agency or corporation to administer a revenue-producing public enterprise, like an authority, how they say, like the transit authority, basically the stuff that Babylon created to try to control everything and charge you taxes. However, the Most High is the grand authority in the earth. So what I'm going to do is we got to first establish who has the authority over earth. It's going to obviously be the creator. I think we all understand and know that the creator is the one who has the supreme authority over earth. And he's given part of that authority over to Yahusha. That was the whole purpose of him coming and taking the keys back. And now he has the authority again. However, the enemy still has his lease to do what he got to do in the earth. However, the supreme authority, he's just a renter at this point. The supreme authority still comes from Yahushua HaMashiach. And he made a way for us to move by using his authority. So now, because of his sacrifice, because of his divine sacrifice, when we follow and do his ways, we can now move in his authority. But it's not that we just do it how we want to do it and do it how we move, because even the Messiah himself did not do that. Did he not say, I do what I see my Father do? He had the whole opportunity the whole time he was walking in this realm to call on a legion of angels to handle his light work, and he would have been good. He had all kinds of authority. And that was just a minor authority that he had, but he still humbled himself and he walked in the way according to man to give us an example of how we should walk. And that walk was fully submitted unto the Most High. When you fully submitted to the Most High, you don't just walk off and do what you want to do. You don't just go and fight a battle that you just want to fight. You don't just go and heal a person that you just want to heal. That's not what you called to do. Unless the Most High said, hey, I want you to go in this city and heal all the sick. Okay, cool. That's what you do. But you can't just walk around healing people because you feel like it. You can't do that. Because what people don't understand is a lot of times folks is in a situation that they in because it's as a means to bring them to an end. Imagine if somebody was gung-ho, had the ability to heal, and Saul had walked up and he had just had his road to Damascus thing. He's sitting on the side of the road. I can't see. I can't see. And here come your extra happy religious behind. Oh, we're going to bring sight to you. Oh, in the name of Jesus. See again. And then now you open his eyes and he can see. He didn't learn no lesson that he was supposed to learn, and you actually got in the way and interfered with what the Most High was doing. This is now, Most High wouldn't allow you to do that, because if you remember when the Messiah was about to be born, he was in his mother's womb. He shut up the mouth of his uncle because he knew he had a reckless mouth. And they're like, nah, this is a divine thing, bro. We can't make that. Nobody mess with it. And that Negro could not talk until the day the Messiah was born. He all that nonsense that he had to keep that mess to himself and couldn't speak it out into the world, because he was not going to get in the way of the will of the Most High. You're not going to get in the way of the will of the Most High. And sometimes people be going through stuff because that's the will of the Most High, and you just got to let them go through that thing. So we have to understand that we just can't do a thing because we think a thing is true. And I'm going to show you some scriptures to back that up. First scripture I'm going to go to is in Mark 5. Some of y'all may know about this story, huh? It's going to talk about our good buddy Legion. And then go start at 1. And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains. So bro was out here just brawling. Couldn't nobody put him in chains. He beating him out of the chains. It's kind of like if you watch Family Guy, that greased up deaf man. He be running around. They be trying to put him in chains. He be sliding out like, nah, you can't catch me. You can't catch me. You can't catch me. That's how this Joker was, living in tombs and all that kind of stuff. So the Gothic people ain't nothing new. Joker's been sleeping in tombs long before they was around. They think they're doing something different. And because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. Bro was a menace. He was out here trying to it was like the Hulk. They was trying to put the Hulk in, and he Hulk smash. He beat up everybody and then run off back to his tomb and take a nap. Like nobody could mess with this dude. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. And when he saw Yahusha afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice and said, what have I to do with thee, Yahusha, thou son of the Most High Yah? I adjure thee by Yah that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. So see, this is the part where they don't tell you about in church, because this is kind of a little underlying thing that they don't go in. He didn't just run up on him randomly. When the Messiah stepped off the boat, he was already aware. He picked him up and he felt his negative spirit and them negative vibes coming from him already. And he didn't get up. He didn't pull out some oil. He didn't say, Peter, sling me the oil. And Peter just pulled out a bottle of oil and start lathering up the Messiah's hand. And the Messiah just ran up and just start slapping him upside the head and, hitting him with the and all that. He ain't do none of that mess. He ain't get all dramatic with it and come on, say to me. None of that mess. He got off the boat and rebuked him and just said, come out, thou unclean spirit. He just gave a command. He gave a command, and he wasn't even there next to him. That he ran up on him, begging for mercy after he did this far away from him. They came running up to him. See, when you have authority, the type of works in this system of the world, he ain't got to do all this goofy stuff that they tell you about. You just have to have the understanding of what you have and what you're doing and how you're executing your authority. And that's what he did. And that's when them things ran up on him like, hold on, man. Wait. Come on, man. Come on. We've been sleeping good over here in the tomb, man. Come on. No, don't torment us, man. They don't want to be tormented. You know why they said they didn't want to be tormented? If you read the book of Enoch, this is a good little demonology 101 real quick for y'all. the reason why they said they didn't want to be tormented is because when the demons are not possessing a body, they're in a constant state of torment. When you read the book of Enoch, he talks about the Messiah, or rather the Most High, talks about how when the spirit of the Nephilim come out of their bodies, they're going to be stuck in the earth, and then they're going to be tormented. They're going to be hungry. They're going to have desires, but they will never be able. They're going to be thirsty, but they can never drink. Hungry, you never eat. They're basically nothing but desire, stuck in this nebulous in between, the in between, like they say in Stranger Things. They stuck in the in between. You know what I'm saying? That little in between realm where they can't touch nothing physical, but they still have a desire for a physical thing. So it's a tormented state of being that they're in. So that's why they was like, no, we living good. You know, we get to all take turns on the body and beat up people and sleep on the, you know, we get to do all the stuff that we want to do. The ones that hate flesh gonna wake up and they just start cutting the flesh because they don't like humans, because they blame humans for the stuff that they did. You know, they got everybody get to do what they want to do. And here you come ruining their fun. And for he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he said, and he asked him, what is thy name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. And I'm gonna come back to that. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding, and all the devils besought him, saying, send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. And forthwith Yahusha gave them leave, and the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine, and then the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000 and choked in the sea. They went back to the water where they came from. They were water spirits. That should have let you know right there. Why did they run down to the sea? They wanted to go back to their habitation. They went back to the water, back to their habitation. So we're going to leave that one there. So that was the authority of the Messiah himself, that he didn't have to get out there. Did it say that all he said was, come out of that man, thy unclean spirit. He ain't hoop, he ain't holler, he didn't get up, and he ain't tell all the disciples, Peter, I'm gonna need you to get on the piano real quick. And Peter start playing the piano, and he had Paul and all them running, Silas and all them running around. He ain't had none of that. Matthew and all them, they weren't doing all that. They were standing around with the prayer cloths and it sounded like a car engine that won't start. They ain't doing none of that. None of that nonsense that we get shown and we get taught, all this foolish witchcraft nonsense that they got going on. Out of your belly. He didn't touch the man. Out of your belly. Out of your belly. Let it come out of your belly. None of that mess. None of that goofy, sorry nonsense. He just gave a simple command, because as that's like the centurion said to him, if you're a man in authority, you say the word and it get done. When you in the military, do your general got to say, I need y'all to, I need y'all to go take this hill. He say, hey, get your butt over that hill, and you go take that hill. That's the command of authority. So we got to really start looking at some of the practices and some of the ways that we approach this thing. And now I'm going to show you a key point about authority. See, Yahusha he's the example. So he's the one that shows us how to do it. But we got to approach this thing a little differently, how we deal with this. See, he was in tune with the Most High. He was always connected with the Most High in the Ruach. So he always knew how to move. And that's how we have to be. My sheep hear my voice, and another they don't follow. But if you're still following religion, you're going to step out of line. Let me go to another one to show you. And I'm going to start actually at the top and touch on another little point here too, since I'm out here talking about the car engines and the folks out here talking in chicken language and pig Latin. We're gonna go to Acts 19:1. And it came to pass that while Apollonius was at Corinth, Paul, having passed through the upper coast, came to Ephesus, and finding certain disciples. Hold on, I want to go to not that one. I'm gonna skip down and actually. Yes, I do want to read this one. And he passed the upper coast. He came to Ephesus and found certain disciples. He said unto them, Have you received the Ruach since you believed? And they said unto him, We have not so much as heard whether there be any holy Ruach. And so he said unto them, Unto what then were, by the way, I would break these down. If I wish that there was a translation, because I know it was, because Paul was a Hebrew. All these men that wrote these gospels are Hebrew, and they want to have you believe that they wrote them in Greek. they most definitely wrote in Hebrew, because Paul talks about how he got spoken to in Hebrew. Like that, it was definitely written in Hebrew, but writing it in Greek lets them bypass and make a lot of things there. So, terms like Holy Ghost and all this stuff, I'm quite sure that they lined up differently when you go into Greek. I mean, already, even when you read some of the Greek, when we talked about the seventh day and the Shabbat, how they talking about the first day of the week, and they changed the whole word Shabbat into first day of the week. So even with the Greek, they're getting goofy. So you can only imagine. That's just my little, scholarly aside, because the King James get on my nerves. And he said unto them, unto what then were you baptized? And they said, unto John's baptism. Then Paul said, John verily baptized with the baptism of repentance, saying unto the people that they should believe in him who should come after him, that is on Yahushua HaMashiach. And then they heard this, they were baptized in the name of Yahushua. And when Paul laid his hands upon them, the Ruach came upon them, and they spoke with tongues and prophesied. Now, this is where the church puts on the bread and circus. This is where the circus starts. As soon as they say tongues, out come the big talking, the clowns, and then you got everybody running around with that and all that waka 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 nonsense. Now, tongues wasn't never where it talks about tongue. Even when you bring up the word here for tongues, let's go down here and where it goes, tongues, glossa, pull up tongues. A tongue, a member of the body, an organ of speech, a tongue, the language or dialect used by a people particular of that in other nations. Where does it talk about speaking in a nonsensical chicken scratch language? It doesn't say nothing about that. When they spoke in tongues, they were speaking in another language, and there's proof of that. If you pull up the book of Jasher, let's pull up the book of Jasher in Jasher 49. This is where our good buddy Joseph had just translated that dream of Pharaoh's, and so Pharaoh out here talking to his wise men, because he's like, "Hey, y'all, this Hebrew dude, he knows some things. Like, what y'all think about putting him in charge?" So I'm gonna let's read the whole thing. After these things, the king sent and assembled all his officers and servants and all the princes and nobles belonging to the king, and they all came before the king. And the king said unto them, behold, you have seen and heard all the words of this Hebrew man, and all the signs which he declared would come to pass, and not any of his words have fallen to the ground. You know that he has given a prior interpretation of a dream, and it will surely come to pass. Now, therefore, take counsel and know what you will do, and how the land will be delivered from the famine. Seek now and see whether the light can be found, in whose heart there is wisdom and knowledge, and I will appoint him over the land. For you have heard what the Hebrew man has advised concerning this, to save the land wherewith from the famine. And I know that the land will not be delivered from the famine, but with the advice of the Hebrew man, him that advised me. And they all answered the king and said, the counsel which the Hebrew has given concerning this is good. Now, therefore, our Lord and King, behold, the whole land is in thy hand. Do that which seemeth good in thy sight. Him who thou choosest, and whom thou in thy wisdom knowest to be wise and capable of delivering the land with his wisdom, him shall the king appoint to be under him over the land. And the king said to all the officers, I have thought that since God has made known to the Hebrew man all that he has spoken, there is none so discreet and wise in the whole land as he is. If it seem good in your sight, I will place him over the land, for he will save the land in his wisdom. See, what you're underseeing here right now is the king talking with his council. The king is talking with his wise men and his counselors to come into a decision, because they know that there's a famine coming, because Joseph just told them that, and they're like, okay, I want to put him over the land. And they say, hey, we see no problem with that, king. If you think that that's what you should do, we right there with you. You go ahead and you move according to your wisdom. Nobody got nothing to say, but somebody does. And all the officers answered the king and said, but surely it is written in the laws of Egypt that it should not be violated, that no man shall reign over Egypt, nor be the second of the king, but one who has knowledge of all the languages of the son of men. So see, even though the king could have easily put him in authority, he would have violated the laws of the land, and that would have looked bad against his rule. How much greater is not the Most High Yah? This is why he came in through his avatar, Yahushua HaMashiach, and worked as a man within the earth, because within the earth, he set the law that you have to have flesh and blood to interact with the physical realm. And he followed all of his own laws. He's not a liar. He set forth a law. He's going to follow his own law, just as this king has to follow the laws of his land. How not much more the King of Kings So this lawlessness that jokers be talking about and just be trying to ollie oxen free when it comes to doing stuff, y'all gotta check yourself, because that's not the way of Yah. Now, therefore, our Lord and King, behold, this Hebrew man can only speak the Hebrew language. And how can he be over us, the second under government, a man who is not even know it, a man who not even knoweth our language? Now we pray thee, send for him, and let him come before thee, and prove him in all things, and do as thou see fit. And the king said, it shall be done tomorrow, and the thing that you have spoken is good. And all the officers came on that day before the king. And on that night, the Lord sent one of his ministering angels, and he came into the land of Egypt unto Joseph. And the angel of the Lord stood over Joseph. And behold, Joseph was lying in the bed at night in his master's house in the dungeon, for his master had put him back in the dungeon on account of his wives. He went, gave a prophecy to the king, and had to go sit back in the dungeon. That's how that thing goes sometimes. And the angel roused him from his sleep, and Joseph rose up and stood upon his legs. And behold, the angel of the Lord was standing opposite to him. And the angel of the Lord spoke with Joseph and taught him all the languages of man in that night. And he called his name Jehoshaphat. And the angel of the Lord went from him, and Joseph returned and lay upon his bed. And Joseph was astonished at the vision which he saw. And it came to pass in the morning that the king sent for all his officers and servants, and they all came and sat before the king. And the king ordered Joseph to be brought, and the king's servants went and brought Joseph before Pharaoh. And the king came forth and ascended the steps of the throne. And Joseph spoke unto the king in all languages. And Joseph went up to him and spoke unto the king until he arrived before the king in the 70th step, and he sat before the king. And the king greatly rejoiced on the account of Joseph, and all the king's officers rejoiced greatly with the king when they all heard the words of Joseph. See, he had to abide by the law. The law was the authority in the land, and he had to abide by it. And then the Most High said, okay, I'm going to help you abide by those laws. And he had Joseph speaking in tongues. He was teaching him the languages of all the other languages. That's why in the book of Acts, when they were up there and they were speaking in the upper room, they weren't up there going, they weren't doing all that nonsense. They were speaking in various languages, because what was the whole purpose when the Messiah first came? He was talking about spread the word, talk about me, tell about what I do, tell everybody about, the new thing that has come upon the land, tell everybody about me. He was about spreading the word, letting people know that the Messiah had came. So, of course, doing that in multiple languages, and you got to understand, Rome was like America. It was a melting pot. It was a whole bunch of folks that was all around there. So when they all were speaking in those various languages, they were saying things so all the people there in all their native languages could hear a thing. And they're marveling, because now they're like, yo, these dudes they Hebrews. Why are they talking my language? I'm Greek. I ain't know this Hebrew dude is speaking Greek. What in the world? I'm Phoenician. What in the world is this? They speak in my language. Like, all the ethnicities were hearing this in their own language. So somebody talking about they speaking in tongues, and all you hearing is chicken scratch, and nobody got an understanding of what's being said. I got something to tell you. They're speaking in what's called star language. You can go look that up. Star language, and it's crazy when you look this stuff up. When you look up the star language, and they talk the same way like the Christians do, and they be rolling around on it's literally the same exact thing that we used to see when you were having church on a Sunday. Rolling around, talking in chicken language, just all kinds of wild, weird expression that don't make no kind of sense. The Most High is a Yah of order. How in the world can you have order if you got somebody in the back hollering and screaming and rolling and slobbing in the middle of the aisle? That ain't no order. If somebody doing that, they got a spirit. They got a spirit on them. Shoot. So we're going to talk here going down to Acts 19:11. So that's a good gun. And God wrought special miracles at the hands of Paul, so that from his body were brought from the sick, so that from his body were brought unto the sick handkerchiefs or aprons, and the diseases departed from them, and the evil spirits went out of them. Then certain of the vagabond Jews, exorcists, took upon them to call over them which had evil spirits the name of the Lord Yahusha, saying, we adjure you by Yahusha, whom Paul preacheth. And there were 7 sons, and one of Sceva, a Jew, and the chief of priests, which did so. So these are the priests right here. They see Paul doing his thing. They see, all this going on in the name of Yahusha. So they like, okay. We finna go out here. We know this dude over here. He had demons on him for years. Let's go get that. Let's go get that nigga. And we gonna exercise that demon. What's up? We gonna use Paul, the Jesus that Paul used. Yeah. They all hyped up and ready to go. It's 7 of these dudes now. And the evil spirit answered and said, Yahusha I know, and Paul I know, but who are ye? And the man in whom the evil spirit was leapt on them. I just see him jumping up like Spider-Man on all they tail. And overcame them and prevailed against them, so that they fled out that house naked and wounded. Look at here, man. If you try to run up in a place that you're not called to go, you will get your tail beat up. You're going to come out looking like Martin when he tried to fight Tommy Hearn. That's how you gonna be looking. You're gonna be coming out with your head full of knots and looking crazy. That's how you look when you try to go out and talk, when you're not doing the authority, when you're not moving in the authority of Yah. You just doing what you think you can big and bad enough to do because I'm saved, I'm a Christian, I got nah, bro. There's a way that you have to move and do this. You can't just go out and be like, oh, I'm gonna go and get all these demons, blah, 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 blah. We be trying to we want to get all antsy since we can't fight nobody in real life, and we really be feeling some type of way. So we feel like, oh, I'm gonna go and pick on these spirits. I'm gonna go fight spirits and blah blah. Bro, you better. If the Most High ain't tell you to go do that, you better leave them things alone. If they not in your place and uninvited and without access, you better leave them things alone. See, this thing is about authority. That's why that spirit was able to jump on them, because they were moving without authority. They didn't even understand what they were doing. They were just out there just doing stuff because they seen somebody doing something and it sounded good. That's what they was out there trying to do, because they call themselves exorcists. So they want to go out there and, show that they can do what they can do. And then boom, look, they pride got themselves whooped. Now they out there running around naked while this one man beating down on all 7 of them, and they running around looking crazy. And he whooping up on all their tails. You can't do that, man. You can't be just running around trying to heal somebody just because you feel like they should be healed or whatever. You gotta seek Yah for everything you do. And I'm gonna show you some examples. 2 Samuel. Let's see here. Let's go to 2 Samuel. I'm gonna start. I don't think we have to read the whole thing. I was going to read the whole thing, but I don't think we need to read the whole thing for this one. Actually, now I'm sitting here thinking about it. Here we go. We're going to start with 2 Samuel 5:17. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to seek David, and David heard of it and went down to the hold. The Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. That's valley of these are sons and fallen and sons of the fallen right there, half angel, half human mixes. Rephaim, Nephaim. So they out there with it's looking like a Lord of the Rings spread down there. They got the orcs and the giants and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? The Trents, the trees. They out there looking straight Lord of the Rings. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go up to the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into mine hand? And the Lord said unto David, go up, for I will doubtless deliver the Philistines into thy hand. And now, wait a minute. Hold on, let's keep going. And David came to Baal Perazim. That's the name right there. So letting you know, he running up into the demon's stronghold, Baal Perazim. They named it after their gods. So this is the place of Baal right here. So this is straight demon territory. And before David ran up there, knowing he the king, knowing that he done already murked a whole bunch of giants, knowing that he done already murked all kinds of Philistines already in the past, he didn't take it for granted. He still stopped and entreated of the Most High Yah before he went out there, despite knowing that he could whoop them because of what he did in the past. You don't just run up on and do something without checking with the Most High. And David came to Baal Perazim, and David smote them there, and said, the Lord hath broken forth upon mine enemies before me as the breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal Perazim. And there they left their images, and David and his men burned them. And the Philistines came up yet again and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. So they came back. So at first they came, he asked the Most High, Yah, can I go? Went down there, beat them up, and then named the place after the fall of their deity. Then they came again So David just went out there and started fighting again? No. It's 23. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, thou shalt not go up, but fetch a compass behind them and come upon them against the mulberry trees. See? Now imagine if David tried to go up doing the same thing that he did last time. They would have got their butts kicked. They would have been looking like the seven sons of Sceva, running around with, with your drawers on, with lumps on your head, like you just got finished fighting Thomas Hearn. You can't just go, even if you've beaten them before in that way. You can't move how you want to move. You can't just go and do what you want to do. You have to make sure every step is measured and is given to you by the Most High Yah. And let it be, when thou hearest the sound of a gong in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then thou shalt bestir thyself, and then shall the Lord go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines. And David did so, as the Lord had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba unto come to Gazer. They came to the same place, the same field. They aligned themselves. And twice when he went out to the fight, before he went to fight, David talked to the Most High Yah. Do you talk to y'all before you just run up and start praying for people and doing this and that? Sometimes you just got to pray Yah's will and pray that it's Yah's will for a person to be whole. Let them be whole. Sometimes people go through stuff because Yah's word is sufficient. Again, imagine if somebody tried to come and take the thorn out of Paul's side that he was sitting there bringing before the Most High Yah. No, it's Yah's will that he had that thorn. He said, my grace is sufficient. Sometimes there's some things that we got to deal with because that's a part of us and a part of the making of us, of pulling us out of a thing that we don't even recognize in ourselves. But the Yah is like, yo, no, you need this thing because this thing is going to help build you up. You have to move with wisdom. We have to abandon this Ali oxen free, every man for himself, do what thou wilt. Not mindset when it comes to using the tools that the Most High gives us. Yes, we have the ability to command these spirits. Yes, we have the ability to not to fear because we can walk in the Ruach and walk after our guide, the Yahushua HaMashiach, the Messiah, and command these spirits to leave. But we have to do it within the realm of authority that the Most High gave us. If they come into your house, your authority, the house comes under your authority. You have that lease. You are there. You have been given authority by the person who owns the land. You have authority over that land. So if they come in your land, you have every right to kick them out of your dwelling and kick them out. If they try to come into your mind, come into and deal within your soul, within your body, you have the right to command them to go. You can't command the spirit off of somebody who's loving the spirit. How in the world you going to tell you're going to try to kick the burglar out of somebody else's house when they keep leaving the front door and the back door and the windows open? If they want the burglar and they keep inviting the burglar in, signs, come on in, burglar. But you coming over there, no, I rebuke you, burglar. No, you can't do that. If that person wants to walk in that way, you can't pray them. You can't, just like the Most High himself, who created us and has every right to snap his fingers right now and remove all of our free will and to turn us into automatons. He don't do that. How in the world can you think to override somebody else's free will and pray something off of them that they're okay with? This is why I said before, it may have sounded mean when I was like, you can't save everybody and don't let somebody else's failure bring you down. This is why I said that. Because some people are just going to have to suffer the results of what they do. If you're not prepared, if you're not putting oil in your lamp and you don't got no oil raining, you can't risk your oil going out and trying to help somebody else who didn't prepare. You can't say, them dudes wanted to save Jonah. They didn't want to throw Jonah out in that water. They really tried to do everything they can because they was upright dudes. They thought they would be putting them to death. So they was doing everything they can to move around and not have to throw Jonah out like Jonah said they was going to have to do. They tried to steer that ship and move around, but them Most High was like, nah, bro, them waves wasn't having it. So they said, hey, don't let this blood be on us. And they had to toss that nigga overboard. They had to sling that nigga overboard. And then the whole thing dried up and they was like, yo, this God is for real. What was he say the name of his God is? Yahuwah Elohim. Man, look, let me write that down. I'm gonna have to send an offering for him as soon as I get on dry land. he is the truth. Even through Jonah's mistake, he was out there witnessing Yah's glory to them folks who probably took it and ran with it to other folks. You can't bring nobody out of the judgment that you can't go against the system owner. You can't go against the owner of the system. You have to abide by his will. There's another example with David. I'm going to go to 1 Samuel 23. And they told David, saying, "Behold, the Philistines fight against Keilah, and they rob the threshing floors. Therefore, David inquired of Yahuwah, saying, Shall I go and smite these Philistines? And the Lord said unto David, Go and smite the Philistines and save Keilah." Again, after he done whooped Philistine after Philistine after Philistine, he still, before every battle, seeks the Most High Yah. That's why he got in trouble when he ran the census and tried to number the people. Because now what? You trying to get a number of the people? You trying to depend on your numbers? Nah, David, you depend on Yah. You don't got to worry about the numbers. Just worry about following in what Yah say. And don't try to get your numbers, to boast your numbers up. Like, yeah, it's good to have your military organized, but he was doing it with the intention of trying not to go before the Most High Yah, because Yah knows your heart. So numbering his army wasn't what he was doing. He wasn't leaning on Yah. He was numbering his armies and trying to see what he got, what they got, instead of going to Yah and talking to Yah directly and saying, okay, Yah, how do you want us to proceed? That's when David messed up. This is where we mess up, when we just think we can just get up and go and do something. See, what we got to understand here is you have to be given authority. If you don't have authority, you can't go and do a thing. You have to have the authority that's given by the Most High Yah. And I'm gonna give y'all an example. This, just the whole earth. Think of the whole earth as like a computer system, which it really kind of is. Take that man Legion. Again, on your computer right now that you listen to me on, even on your cell phone right now, there's hundreds and hundreds of programs running in the background, and hundreds of programs all running at the same time. Well, it looks like the same time. They're actually running one after the other, but that's neither here nor there. But they're running all at the same time, existing within one system. All those spirits were able to possess that man and exist in one system. The earth is a system, just like you have your computer. It has an operating system. There's underlying rules. This is why they call it science. I don't call it science. I call it the laws of heaven and earth. These are laws that Yah set in place. Thermodynamics is his law. These are the laws that he set. Density is his law. Time and space, his laws. These are all laws that he created into the earth. And as the creator of all this, he is the admin. The Most High is the supreme admin of earth. Everything is under his control. Matter of fact, he's bigger than the admin. He's the creator. As a creator, when you're like a programmer for Windows, you're not only the admin, you can actually go in and make changes to the baseline of the code. So if you want to add something in there, you can do that. If you want to change it at the very most center base level, you can do that. That's the Most High. All of us, because of Yahushua HaMashiach, who is another admin, we are junior admin. This is what's called in the computer world role-based access control, or RBAC. It's role-based. You got to know your role. Sometimes you got to know your role and shut your mouth. The Rock said it best. Know your role and shut your mouth. You got to know your role. Role-based access control is a model for authorizing end-user access to systems, applications, and data based on a user's predefined role. For example, a security analyst can configure a firewall, but can't view customer data, while a sales rep can see customer accounts, but can't touch firewall settings. See, this is why people get all twisted, and everybody want to be a prophet. Everybody want to be a bishop. Everybody want to be a apostle. We got an apostle this, apostle that. Don't call me apostle. Where's my armor bearer with my Bible and my bag and my honorary doctorate from ABC University? Just call me Dr. Pick a shoe. Pick a shoe, pay ties. That's my name. And please say apostle doctor before you say like all this goofy stuff. Did y'all give you that title? Did y'all tell you that this is what you were? Or did you just see that this was a thing and you want to get it for the prestige and want to throw yourself in there? You want to call yourself a prophet by throwing a Bed Bath & Beyond towel on your head and hitting play on your camera and coming up every day giving generalizations about the world that's going on with generalizations from scriptures, but you want to act like every night you getting a word from the Most High Yah, even though he done already wrote about this years ago before your great granddaddies existed and was a gleam in their daddy's eye. This was already written about, but you want to act like the Most High Yah is giving you this deep revelation. Oh, I got my towel of my head. Oh, the Most High God was coming and talking to me, and he told me. He ain't tell you nothing, nigga. You just a pretender. You're a liar. You want power. That's the problem. Y'all, a lot of niggas be moving when you have no authority. You're a hacker in the system. See, if you try to get access into a computer system and not using the proper credentials, see, we have to use not even our own credentials. We have to use the credentials of the Messiah. He gives us credentials. He said, okay, if you follow my way and you do what I say, here's the password to get into the system, and then I'll tell you what to do. Don't just go in there touching any and everything. I'm going to tell you what to do and when to do it and how to move and do it. This is what the Ruach is. It tells you, okay, click on that, open that. Okay, cool. Copy this file, put that file in it. That's how the Ruach leads you. Don't talk to this person, do this, do that. This is why you have to be tuned into Yah, tuned into his word. And you have to make sure that you have got the most religion out of you, getting that flesh out of you. Because if you into yourself and in your flesh, you're going to be on nonsense. What happened if something, let's say, we get retaliated against over here and the missile come dropping down, and then all of a sudden you see people out there and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna lay hands on you. You go and grab your big old bottle of oil, you put all your oil bottles in the bag and you pray over them. You go, I'm gonna run out there and I'm gonna pray for the sick, and we're gonna make them grow their arms back, and we're gonna be amazing. And you run your goofy behind out there talking about you finna go pray for the people that's sick, and then you catch one of the other missiles that come down like a dummy. That's the kind of stuff that most stupid folks are going to be on. They're out here running around trying to be a wonder instead of listening to the Most High and doing what the Most High tell you to do. Or you want to go out and you see somebody in there that's dressed in all black, and you see clearly that they into witchcraft, and you start, oh, I'm going to rebuke them, and you start running in the corner, doing all that nonsense. And that person ain't even over there thinking about you. But now you over there jumping into a battle that you ain't called to fight. And now you over there stirring up Legion. And they over there like, Paul, I know. Yahusha, I know who this nigga is over here trying to command me. And I ain't got nothing to do with all them. That's how you catch a whooping. Then you wonder why your house out of order. You wonder why your kids is acting up and acting crazy. You wonder why your wife is acting goofy, or you wonder why things is going weird with your husband, because you are a vector in your household, because you are moving lawlessly. You are hacking the system, and that is illegal. You are moving illegally in the system. If you're not moving according to the will and the way of the Yahushua HaMashiach and being led by him using his credentials, you are hacking the system. And if you're hacking the system, guess what? The antivirus is going to get to your tail. the remedy is going to come in, and you're going to get locked out. Because you can't be trusted, because you can't move with the way that the Most High telling you to move. You trying to move the way you want to move. That's not how that works. Authority is something that only the Most High can give. We have to understand, just like at work on your computer, you can't do nothing on your computer. Most of y'all that is on your computers, you can't do nothing at work because we keep them locked down as IT guys, because you might mess around and get into trouble. So if you need to do something or install something, it has to go by us so that we can make sure that what you're installing and what you're doing is okay, and it won't compromise the system. It won't compromise plans that we already got. You want to install this program. Well, I want to use this for this. Well, we already are planning on implementing a new program. All you got to do is be patient and wait for us to implement a new program, and you'll be fine. But no, you want to install your own program and do your own thing. Now you causing problems. Same way in the spirit. Same way. You can't just move and do what you want to do. You can't just talk how you want, go and pray for who you want to pray for. You have to move with the wisdom of Yah. We too flippant with things. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with, wishing a blessing and the will of Yah on somebody like that. But you be going out here praying these deterministic prayers and all that stuff. That's divination, bro. That's divination. You got to make sure that what Yah is showing you and what they desire is what the will of Yah is for a person. Or else you're just agreeing with their rebellion. This is why we have to be wise and listen to Yah. Because too many folks is out here just moving crazy and be like, oh, well, I can do it because, I got the power. Or I got the power. Everybody want to run around with power. But it's cliche. But Spider-Man said it best. With great power comes great responsibility. It sounds cliche, but it's facts. Anybody who's been in any kind of authority that got some sense will tell you, you don't want this. You don't want none of this, Ricky Bobby. You don't want this. Because you're going to have to die to be in leadership. You gonna have to die. You can't do what everybody else do. You can't move how everybody else move. You have to move different. As the IT guy, I have to move different from other folks because I have more authority in my login. So I can't be reckless with how I go and download stuff. I got to make sure I'm okay and make sure things are good. Because if I go in with an admin login and I do something stupid, guess what? I compromise not only just the system I'm on, but the entire network. And you don't have that oversight in the earth. The Most High and you should have that oversight. So you have to lean on the Ruach before you run and try to call demons out of somebody or try to heal somebody or try to do anything. You have to be like David. Do you want me to go up? Do you want me to go and handle this situation? Do you want me to go deal with this? You know, we're gonna be seeing a lot of stuff, and it just not only just goes for spiritual warfare, but even with how you move and help people. You're going to have wisdom in this hour, wisdom, and you have to move with the authority that the Most High has given you. We can't just be wilding out and doing stuff because we feel like it and it sounds like a good idea. We have to slow down and talk to Yah. Now is not the hour for us to really be fighting. I mean, if you recall, when the Most High said, when we go back, we ain't going to practice war no more. We're going to be chill. Because the Most High like, no, y'all need to sit down somewhere and heal. We've been in fight or flight mode for 400 years. We've been in this ready to fight mode for 400 years. It's time to heal. It's time to chill and learn how to use authority from a healed posture and not from all my life I has to fight posture. That is the key that the Most High is revealing to us. It's not saying that we won't be doing greater things. It's just that we're going to be doing them with a healed mind and a healed spirit. We're not going to be doing them from this religious, I'm going to run around and just do what I want to do and do it because it sounds good. Oh, the scriptures say I can do this. So I'm finna go over here and walk on this water because that's what the scriptures say. I think I remember some goofy behind preacher talking about tried to go out and get a snake to bite him to prove that he wasn't going to die. And the stupid idiot ended up dying because he had the snake bite him and he died like a dummy. No, the protection is for us ingesting this water that come through these doggone faucets with all kinds of mess that's in it. That's where you will be eating poison and be injected by poison and won't die. We got poison every day when we walk out the sky and they spraying us like raid roaches. That's the authority that we walking in now. The authority that, hey, nothing evil will come nigh my dwelling. That I stay hidden in the secret places of the Most High Yah and keep his word written on my heart as the blood is written across my heart. So when the angel of death come around, I'll be found as one of his. That's the war that we do. Our warfare now is with ourselves. You ain't got to be fighting demons when you can't even win against your own soul. You need to fight and take authority over yourself first. Then worry about taking authority over the laws of heaven and earth. Manage the dirt that you're living in right now, the dirt that your spirit is controlling right now. Manage that earth. Get that earth under authority, under control, and then let y'all start adding all this other stuff onto you. Don't be so quick to want to run out and swing on demons and pray for folks and do all, the church done got us so bad in this mess because they just teach this nonsense because, again, it's like curses of Balaam. You cursing yourself by acting out of authority. If you act out of authority, guess what? That's witchcraft. Witchcraft is as the sin of rebellion. Hold on. You don't got to take my word for it. Let's I'll take this one here. Let's actually, yeah. Because I can't remember the scripture off the top of my head. Actually, I'll let the robot find it for me. Let's do that. Bam, I was already in 1 Samuel. Oh, I'll just pull it up over here. And where was my 1 Samuel? 1 Samuel 15. My Blue Letter Bible. I love me some Blue Letter Bible, man. It's a good website. It's a good resource. 1 Samuel 15:23. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he has also rejected thee from being king. This is what he was talking to Samuel, was letting put the hammer down on Saul, because Saul was using the authority that he had to please the people. The Most High told Saul to go and kill everybody in the land, everything. Don't take nothing for yourself, and to kill that king. And Samuel come up there and all the sheep in there in the background. They got all them nice sheep and Agag sitting up there all fat and happy, just as eating and happy as can be. I dodged this one. Because Saul didn't want to obey the Most High Yah. He used his authority to go against the authority that was given him just to please the people. This is why I say your soul got to be right, because if you're given a position and your soul isn't correct, you'll do nonsense. Even David did nonsense even though, he was chasing after the Most High Yah, but because his soul wasn't checked in the area of lust, he ended up murking the whole man just for his woman. When he was a king, he could have had any woman in the kingdom he wanted. But no, he committed adultery and murder to try to hide his tracks. That's what happens when you have authority and your character is jacked up. You got to get y'all to get your character together so then you can walk properly in the authority. That's when the power comes. The power came to Yahusha because he didn't move and do. Man, the power Yahusha walked in was immense. Again, he could have called legions of angels, and that's just one of the things that's small that he could have did. He could have probably moved. He could have been moving and doing all the supernatural works that he was doing long before he got baptized. But he followed the law, because he is the King of Kings. So he was like, if I put the law in order and then I break the law, then how can I tell them to keep the law? He kept the law all the way through. That's how we got to be. We can't just be out here moving crazy, especially in this hour, man. Especially in this hour. It's so much demonic, stupid crap going on out there. You got to know that you're moving in the wisdom and the authority of Yah, and not just doing something just because you want to do it because there's a way that seems right into a man, but that ain't the way that the Most High wants you to go. So that's really what I wanted to bring out today, man. It's actually a little small smidgen I'm touching on for the sequel to the book that I'm making. It's going to really demystify spiritual warfare, because the church has got us in nonsense. It's got us in witchcraft. That's really what it is. A lot of this stuff in this church is straight witchcraft. I mean, you've seen it with Paula White with her nonsense. She's sitting up there looking like something from the 80s, shoulders all hanging out. From Africa, they're coming from Africa, they're coming from Africa, they're coming from Africa, they're coming from Africa. Can't even have angels. They can't even have angels. You out here colonizing the angels. Like, my goodness, can Africa have angels? Y'all want to take everything, even the angels? Good Lord, man. Just colonizing. That ain't even biblical. Angels from Africa. What? That demonic behind, they used to call them psychic prayers. A demonic behind prayer. That's a curse, man. These jokers be sending curses, bro. So, with that said, man, just like I said, be sure that you're moving before you move. See, it's kind of like, I hate it's like the Ludacris song, when you move, I move. Just like that. Sure, ain't when I move, no, Most High. When you move, I move. Just like that. That's it. When the Most High move, you move. That's how you roll. That's how you do everything. You can't just come out here and do what you want to do. So with that, y'all, this one's going to be a short one today. I just wanted to bring that out, bring us some awareness in, especially in this hour, man, because there's a lot of lies that's going on in the world, and a lot of stuff that's going to come to try to get you to move emotionally. And if you're not moving, submitted to the authority of the Most High Yah, you'll just move off of your emotions and do something goofy. So with that, y'all, it has been a blessing. I will see y'all again next week, and y'all have a good one.